According to the Beverage Marketing Corporation, every man, woman, and child in the United States ingests 192 gallons of liquid a year. That translates to about 3.7 gallons per week, or 2 liters a day. Of that amount, about 14% is alcoholic beverages. And of the rest, carbonated sodas at 28% have the lead, but are dropping slightly in popularity. They're giving way in part to water, which now represents 11% of U.S. liquid consumption, about the same amount as milk, and about the same amount as coffee and tea combined. The move to water, while certainly preferable to carbonated beverages with a range of issues, not the least of which is childhood obesity, is not without controversy. Consider the issue, for example, of bottled water. 45 billion gallons were purchased and consumed in 2005. The market for bottled water has expanded nearly 100% between 1999 and 2006, with a combined annual growth rate approaching 10%. The United States leads the pack in total consumption, representing 17% of the global use in 2004. Mexico, China, Brazil, and Italy are numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the world. The marketing appeals for bottled water, purer, safer, healthier, are fundamentally inaccurate. The reality is that public tap water is remarkably safe. It's regularly tested in the U.S. for 103 contaminants and 80 microbes and industrial agents. More than 90% of those tests reveal a water that exceeds EPA and FDA standards. In fact, our everyday water is more tightly regulated and more frequently tested by far compared to the bottled variety. Not too surprising, since at least 25% of the bottled water actually comes from the tap. But in one area, bottled water far surpasses our everyday water, and that area is price. Ounce for ounce, it is more expensive than gasoline. The worldwide spending in 2005 was about $45 billion, with the United States contributing nearly 20% at $9.8 billion. To get a sense of the relative cost, consider an analysis of local tap water against 3 bottled varieties in Massachusetts. The public water came from the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority and used ozone for purification. It cost consumers 0.2 of 1 cent per gallon and was delivered to the tap. Interestingly, one of the 3 bottle varieties came from the water department in Ayer, Massachusetts, and was also purified with Ozone technology. But it cost $6.82 a gallon, more than 3,000 times the cost of regular water, and you had to carry it home from the supermarket. Paradoxically, while you pay more, you actually get less. This is certainly the case when it comes to oversight. One 1999 independent analysis of 1,000 bottles of water representing 103 different brands found that 1/3 didn't meet state or bottled water industry standards for bacteria or contaminants. Second, bottled water, even though at least 25% originates at the tap, is examined less critically than regular water. As FDA chemist Dr. Henry Kim said in 2002, quotes, "Because the FDA experience over the years has shown that bottled water poses no significant public health threat, we consider bottled water not to be a high-risk food," close quotes. Now, beyond the sheer waste of money in purchasing water that you could bottle yourself from your own tap, consider the environmental impact. All that packaging, including a remarkable 1.5 million tons per year of plastic, must find its way into the U.S. landfills. There's also the cost of shipping, of packaging, of labeling. And the labels are embarrassing. Spring water? According to the FDA, you can label a product spring water if you believe the underground source you're pumping from ultimately feeds a spring. Considering all of the above, it's not surprising that there's a major push underway to purchase reusable water bottles and to bottle your own from the tap. Studies have shown that the market growth in bottled water reflects public opinion that it's healthier and also that it plays to the needs of an increasingly mobile society for convenience and accessibility. Owning the bottle and filling from the tap fulfills both needs at a fraction of the cost. The only problem is the plastic safe. Now, as it turns out, this is a remarkably complex question, and science still lacks a complete answer. But what do we know? Well, first, all plastic is derived from chemicals, and these chemicals theoretically have the ability over time to leach back into the water that's contained in the bottle. Second, most plastic bottles have a number from 1 to 7 stamped on the base, denoting the chemical composition of the bottle. For example, number 1 bottles are made from a petroleum-based material called polyethylene terephthalate, or PET for short. These are commonly used to contain water, soda, and juice. Number 7 bottles, in contrast, are made of a harder polycarbonate plastic called Nalgene. These contain the chemical bisphenol A. Now, possible health concerns have been raised about both phthalates in the number 1s and bisphenol A in the number 7s, though the exposure levels from leaching, and thus the risk of contamination, appears to be quite low. The third thing we know is that some are now recommending that we use bottles made of high-density polyethylene, number 2s, or made of polypropylene, number 5s, for self-bottled water. Finally, the bottles we use should be cleaned between uses to avoid bacterial contamination. Now, one last thing. As we spend some $10 billion per year in the United States on bottled water, 1.3 billion global citizens suffer from poor access to adequate amounts of clean, pure water, and 1.8 billion lack adequate sanitation. The cost of correcting these ills is also about $10 billion a year. So, as you carefully begin to bottle your own water, please visit our water website, www.healthy-waters.org, where you'll find reputable charities and programs to contribute your savings to in order to help others in desperate need of healthy water and sanitation. For Health Commentary, I'm Mike McGee.